Today's guest is Mitch Lewandowski. He's the president at Cymbionic. So, Mitch, thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks, Tats. It's great to be here today, and thank you for the invitation. It's very kind of you.
Yeah, what I love about your background is you have a fairly entrepreneurial background, but you also work for fairly large or established organizations. Walk me through some of the entrepreneurial stuff you've been involved in.
Wow, I will try to be concise on that. And that's
Maybe some highlights, maybe the ones that you learned the most from.
Yeah, I'd say one of the highlights is in 2000. I got involved in the window and door products industry, and I had some entrepreneurial background prior to that in marketing and telecom and some international work. But in the mid 90s, I got involved in the construction products through the window and door industry. And in 2001, when 9/11 hit, I decided, hey, why don't we start our own window and door business? I mean, the phones aren't ringing, nobody's buying anything, and I had just been in a bike accident, broke a collarbone in a bike race. Perfect time to go out on our own and just throw all caution to the wind. So I guess that's my entry point there.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard of a bunch of people that
Okay.
kind of done that, right? Because there's a lot of change, and you
Yeah.
know, saying it out loud may not have sounded great, but it sounded like it worked out.
Yeah, it was a terrible idea on paper. And if you were to run that by an investor, or I was single at the time, your lens of the world when you're single and no encumbrances, your definition of risk is obviously a lot different. So if somebody would say, "Hey, do you think it's a good idea?" Absolutely no way. You should stay where it's safe and sound. But
What made
going
it
out
work?
there,
What was the key to
what
making it work?
number one, what you've heard the term burning the ships, burning the boats. Number one wasn't to go half in. And I found that whenever I'm all in on something, the likelihood of it succeeding went up orders of magnitudes greater than if I was dipping. Oh, I'm just going to try this. I'm going to check it out. So yeah, burning the boats, being all in has been the number one thing for me in my entrepreneurial side of business that's helped make it work.
Mm, I love that. All in. So, walk me through you going in all in on entrepreneurship and then also working for companies. Like, how did you oscillate and decide going between those two?
Yeah, so I had a pretty good exit on a few companies in the 2000s, mid late 2000s, just before the market correction. And a lot of people says, "Wow, that was such great timing." I'm like, I had no clue what's going to happen. I just like, stop it. It's like when people say, "What a great drive." It's like I thought I missed the ball. I didn't know it was on the green. So that was just good market timing and being lucky. And then had a couple other businesses that I was involved in from a financial standpoint. And then as I was just deciding, okay, do I want to go start something else? Do I want to buy into something? What do I want to do? One of the things that I realized is that it would be good for me. This sounds totally weird and going opposite. It would be good for me just to get some practical exposure of working for somebody else. And I said to my wife, I think this would be healthy for me. And I actually went to go work for somebody else on purpose to get that understanding of what it's like to be a person working for another.
And then
God's honest truth.
what did you learn?
Well, I got to learn the power of not being able to get things my way through authority. In other words, the importance of that when you can't just turn the boat, hey, we're going to go in this direction because you don't own the company. It's a whole different position. So attached to that was the respect and the value for people that are in those seats, and not being able to get my way or do things my way was really, really valuable for that stage in my life, because I've had such a track record of just being able to go do this, go do this, go do this. And now it's like, hey, you have to work together on a team and have consensus, which in present day, and we've talked about this a little bit offline, how I consult and guide and coach people these days. This was one of the things, is how do you work together as a team when you don't have the authority position? How do you build consensus when everyone's a peer? Great time of my life.
Yeah. I mean, what are some practical tips in and around that?
Mm. I was just in a coaching session on this with one of my clients. So one of the things is to set your ego aside. I'm going to globalize, and I'll speak for myself personally. We tend to operate in this space of that we got the answers. It's like everyone driving down the highway faster than us is a maniac. Everyone driving down the highway slower than us is an idiot. We're going exactly the right speed. Really? That's interesting. That's fantastic worldview. Wrong, but interesting. So set your ego at the door. Set it aside, and to be able to say, get. Actually, one of the guys I'm coaching right now, he said it to me yesterday in a session, and I'm not going to give you his name, so it'll be anonymous. But he says, I realize that I humility is the number one thing I need to work on. Love it. Ding. And so be humble. And so when you're working on a team and other people see that you're bringing humility to the room, it invites. My mentor who passed a few years ago talked about, what are you doing in the room that's life-giving, as opposed to what are you doing that's life-taking? And humility in a room disarms invites other people in to be engaged. So I would say to anybody out there listening, work on your humility, and we're all on a journey on that. I've met the most arrogant people that once they understood how damaging it was, I'll use the word broken, but broken in a good way. Broken as in meek and tender and gentle and caring, empathy that they didn't even know what that word was. And all of a sudden they become very empathetic and sensitive. I'm going on a rager on this one. I'm sorry. Empathy, humility and empathy.
Yeah, I mean, you said life-giving, and it sounds like, how you treat others, but also it sounds like letting ideas, surface, and curiosity. Is that kind of the aspect of it, opposed to that won't work? And but it
Yeah.
sounds exploratory. It walked me through
That's a
this specific.
Yeah, that's a part of it, because so for example, if we're on a team together and you feel that and I talk a lot about if you feel that you can trust me, that gives you the space not to have it all figured out as well. And as I feel that I can trust you, I don't have to have it all figured out as well. Often we bring in this freaking Superman cape, like we're the baddest person in the room, you know, Bad Bad Leroy Brown, which was a song when I was a kid growing up. And we think we have to have this man of steel attitude in the room, and nothing could be further from the truth. But come in there, guys, I don't have it figured out. We can figure this out together. Let's work on this together and come up with a solution. Everybody feels like they're part of something. A meeting I had earlier in the week, this leader of this company, and I said to him, if you said that you were going to go down the street and start a new business, would your people want to go with you regardless of what you are going to do?
Mm,
Because if they say, for example, Tots, I don't care where you're going or what you're doing, I want to do it with you. If you can get your place to that space as a leader or on a team, man, that's like the X factor.
wow.
Honking hard to get there, but worth every second of it.
Yeah, I was talking to someone recently, and he's an entrepreneur at heart, but he hasn't had a win yet, and he has a close associate that keeps wanting to stay with him through all these failures, and he kind of turned around and asked him, why are you following me? Because your failures are getting better, right? And I want to be around when you hit it big, because you're just getting better and you don't quit.
Write
And
that down.
so that was amazing.
Oh my gosh. Thinking of failures, I've done many things wrong in my life, and that's a whole separate podcast. One time somebody said, oh, you did a really good job on that. And I said to the person, I just call him Bob, I said, Bob, it's because I've made so many mistakes. There's fewer options left, and the options that are left are more on the better choices. I just run out of bad choices to make.
Well, has been like your, some of your best mistakes, like in hindsight, right? Going through it, probably terrible, but after the fact, that kind of led the foundation to you being successful in some of these other ventures.
Yeah, I'd say one of the biggest mistakes, which ties into what we're talking about, was believing that I can do it and I can make it happen. Um, had breakfast with a CEO this week that was actually our topic. And I said, I just call him Phil. Phil, you have the capacity to outdo anybody. You have the intellectual capability, you have the energy, you have the vitality. You can outrun anybody. I remember when I was his age, had the same mindset too. It is such a lie. When I was drinking my own Kool-Aid, that was the problem. I was the only one drinking it. And you know the story of the Emperor's New Clothes. I'm like, hey, look at me. I got a nice new robe on, and some kid on the side says, you're naked. What? And so getting to the place where I realized I couldn't do it all on my own, and it was really unhealthy to do that. The term, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with others. But slowing down, bringing other people into the conversation, bringing other people on that journey. One of my core values is in Cymbionic is that we are in this together. That is, and I read those off to everybody, any new client, anybody who's interested in doing business with me. We're in this together. And I knew what it was like not to be in this together. So it's very sticky value for me.
Yeah, for sure. And then also, part of business is, each business is, I think you believe, is different. There's nuances of it. I mean, what are some of the specific insights, right, specific to your situation, your business over the years that led to some of these wins?
Some of the specific things that led to my wins. Well, again, we covered the humility. We're in this together. When I was developing the maturity to invite other people in and to involve other people in the journey, that created better wins. Because I remember, again, I can go far on my own, but where could we go together? And again, tied into that. So one of the big wins for me is and has and continues to be is being able to build what I refer to as, and I could have gotten this from a book, I don't know, healthy leadership teams, a healthy environment where there's high trust. Man, average people with high trust can do amazing things. High performing people that are, having one of my core value number 5, no buttholes. That's number 5. High performing people that are acidic, narcissistic, assassins, whatever you want to call them, working on a team, drag the team down, and it creates disunity. So I will take the average person that's all in versus the high performing person, and just being able to be more savvy on that has really, really helped me, and helps me when I work with clients. I'll be with a client and they'll say, oh yeah, we really want to hire this guy. Well, tell me why. Oh, it's the best salesperson in the world. Okay, tell me more. And they start describing the character and things like that. I'm like, why do you want to hire that person? Oh, because it's the best salesperson. Because they racked up the highest numbers, but nobody likes them. They have a terrible reputation, yada, 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 yada. So how does that fit where you want to go? Oh, I've been down that road. I can tell you that's a terrible destination to get to.
Yeah, doesn't sound very fun.
No, and I believe that when people in business, whether it's an owner or a leader or somebody just involved in a company, starts to detach from personal desire to win and start to say, not how can I win, but how can we win? I was meeting with a high performing salesperson recently, individual contributor. And he was saying, yeah, we're competing for who can win at the end, have the best numbers at the at the end of the month. I said, well, what does it look like for you to come in second place? Oh, it's terrible. I'm like, really? If you posted your highest numbers for the month and somebody else did better than you, what would it look like to celebrate their win? Ding, 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 ding. And he realized that he was playing for himself. If we're playing to win, you're encouraging me to do the best that I can do. And I'm encouraging you to be the best that you can do. And if you have higher numbers at the end of the month, let's just say it's even $1,000 split, I'm going to celebrate your win. That's awesome. Because, dude,
Yeah.
I killed it, but you killed it. I'm not sure if that's a word, but look it up. Killed it. That's all. There's no space. You know, you did better than me. Gosh, that's awesome. What would it feel like for that other salesperson to experience that affirmation from the amazing salesperson that they eclipsed that month? So much wind in their sails versus, oh,
Yeah.
you suck.
I mean, you see that sometimes in sports, right? Where like you're dying to beat each other, but then they respect each other's great shots or whatnot.
Yeah. I mean, you think about Formula One right now. If you're watching Drive to Survive, fantastic Netflix series, you know, you get two people on a team. Anybody that uses the word team in Formula One can spell only, but the definition of team usually is not represented in the two racers because I want to win. And if you win, that means I'm not winning, which means that's bad. So I will do, you see the gamesmanship of the negative racing, all the psychological warfare against their own teammate. You know, I'm making $40 million a year. You're making $40 million a year, and we're still playing like 12-year-olds in the schoolyard. By the way, Formula One, it's fun to watch, but I'm just, you know, giving them a hard time right now. But man, when you get people that are saying, we're on the same team, we're fighting for the same win, we are in this together. I have your back, which is my core value number 3, by the way. I have your back, and you know it. Get out of the way. Any business, I believe, that's operating in a market vertical can own that market vertical if they've got that attitude inside.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I know that, you know, this is probably a bigger topic. You started in and around EOS, the entrepreneurial operating system, which some people are familiar because it's popular. And then I guess you're coaching based on the Pinnacle system. Without going into too much detail, can you walk me some of the specific differences between those? Because I know EOS is fairly popular, but walk me through the specific differences between that,
Yeah,
that
sure.
model
And
process.
and a shout out. I know a lot of folks at EOS that are EOS implementers. Shout out to the EOS folks. Great people out there. Great program. You know, you go from using nothing to using EOS. You're like, you have 4 Red Bulls. Boom. Here's one for you right there.
There you go.
That I would say one of the differences is that EOS, again, great respect. We refer to EOS as EOS Pure, that it's a predetermined system by a defined set of standards and things that you implement, where Pinnacle is a bit more open with a lot more tools. And so at Pinnacle, like we'll look at a company, let's just say your company. We'll say, based upon where you're at on the journey that you're in, these are the tools that we're going to work with for your company. And these ones over here, which are really, really cool, that's not for you. Later on, we might need those. So we've got give or take 100 tools. And if we're focused on people, we're going to work on the areas of people where you're at, and we're going to bring the tools to work with you that are most relevant to you versus these are the 4 tools for people, out of the box. And again, love EOS, big fan of the plan, but that's a primary difference.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, it has an aspect of advisory, whereas EOS is a little bit more facilitation.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about it that way. That's a good way we are, as at Pinnacle, we were referred to as a certified Pinnacle implementer. I'm what's called a guide. And some people call me a coach. I've even been called Tinkerbell. There's a true story. And this lady that I was involved in business with, I said, So tell me more about that. And she said, well, it's because you sprinkle the pixie dust and everything flies. Like, I'll go with that. I'm going to take that as a 100% compliment.
I like how you asked the
So
question, right? Because not everyone will take that
tell me more
correctly in
about
the way
that.
that she intended.
Yeah. So yeah, whether people call me a guide or a coach or Tinkerbell, my goal, and I tell people, my goal is to take you as far as you want to go. And some of the things that I look for when I'm engaged with a client, and I tell people that when I get to meet somebody and we're talking about, say, Pinnacle, I've had 5 meetings this week on Pinnacle. I say, guys, this is an audition. This is an audition for you to see if I'm a good fit for you, and if Pinnacle's a good fit for you, but also, are you a good fit for me? Because number 5 is no buttholes. So I'm also vetting buttholes out. But I'm like, do these people want to go somewhere? Because sometimes you meet companies, yeah, we're looking for an operating system. We're kind of checking it out. We'll try Pinnacle. I'm like, man, unless you're willing to like jump off the high dive, and I see that you're willing to go into the unknown with no guarantee of success and willing to take risk, because I like those people because I could do a lot with that. So anyway,
I like that. I was
another,
just visualizing your burning the boats thing earlier.
yeah. So I look for people that are teachable and coachable, and that's a big thing for me. Like even when I first met you, I was like, I like this guy because you have it. Sorry, I'm going to get off topic. You have this way about you. You're disarming. You're open. You're inquisitive. Not everybody is like that in business. And I had a meeting with a CEO just this week. Hey, we've got it all figured out. I'm thinking, why are we talking then? It's like, you've got all the answers. And now he doesn't have all the answers. He thinks he has all the answers. I can't help that. But then it was like, oh wait, I don't have this all figured out. I would affirm that. But teachable and coachable is another big thing for me.
Well, the learning is what makes it all fun, right? I think why go through all the stress if you're not experiencing and learning new things as an entrepreneur?
Oh, totally.
That's great. I mean, Mitch, I'm sure we could sit here and talk about business all day, but is there something that I did not ask you, but you wanted to share?
Something you did not ask me. So I get to ask the question that you're going to ask me. You're going to ask me this question, Mitch, what makes you come alive?
Okay, Mitch, what makes you come alive?
I owe you PayPal. I just threw that as a flyer. So I love to be on a journey with other people that want to be on that journey, and I think because I was looking at this, I was on a gravel bike ride this weekend up in the North Georgia mountains, 50 miles, 5,000 plus feet of climbing. It was honking hard, Tots. But I was on this ride with another gentleman, and we were experiencing it together, and it was super rewarding. I love doing life with other people that want to do life with me. So whether it's coaching an individual CEO or working with a leadership team, helping some salespeople get unstuck on issues. I'm on the board of a nonprofit, that we serve the marginalized community, making a difference there. But let's do this together. That truly makes me come alive. I really feel completely in my space. My wife talks about this a lot when she kind of just sums me up. It's kind of in this category right there that you really, really love to do that, as I really, really do.
That's great. Great question. Great answer. Well, thank you, Mitch. I appreciate you sharing your wisdom and stories.
Thanks for the invitation, Tats. Have a great day.